Well, hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Progress Kentucky's Kernels of Truth. We have a wonderful episode for you this week. We are continuing to process school shootings and gun control in the wake of Uvalde. We have a new installment of Doug Price is Right, looking at the wisdom of creating school district police departments here in Kentucky. Of course, we'll kick off with News of the Week, News Under 5, and then we will close with our action and events calendar. But first, are you ready? Are you ready to help turn Kentucky purple? We are a poor state with poor health outcomes, yet we elect a GOP supermajority to do everything possible to cut government services, contribute to lowering the tax burden on rich folks. Instead of lowering the cost of insulin or supporting more social workers, or raising our pathetically low minimum wage, or doing anything to decrease the cost of health care, we have a gang in Frankfort bound and determined to end access to abortion care and end any efforts to increase gun safety in Kentucky. If you think this is completely backwards, we need your voice and your vote. If you want a Commonwealth that works for all of us, join Progress Kentucky. It's easy. You can just follow us on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, wherever you spend time on social medias. Just make sure to like and share and comment on our content. If you like what you're hearing here on Kernels of Truth, give us a thumbs up. If you're listening to the pod, leave us a review. Podcast reviews are really important to ensure more folks learn about that podcast. So hope you can help us out, help us grow this megaphone so we can get the word out about what we need to do to get a more progressive, more compassionate Commonwealth. All right, so let's get into the show. Of course, we are not just talking heads on the internet, folks. We are a digital demonstration. We're a protest against the state of affairs here in Kentucky. And of course, if you're going to go to a protest, you should bring a sign, right? So let us know who you are, where you are. What does your protest sign say today? Leave it in the comments. We'll put it on the screen. We'd love to see where you are and what you're protesting today. So my sign, I'm Aaron. I'm coming to you from Chilesburg, a community in Lexington, very, very close to the growth boundary. My sign says, let's make it easier to get a therapist and harder to get a gun. And that's a hat tip to Shelly Skis, who shared that on Facebook. And I just think it just wraps up so well where we are right now in our priorities as a society. Turning to a lovely co-host, Kimberly. Kimberly, are you there?
Yes, I am. Hello, everyone. Hi, Aaron. And yes, I am coming to you live from my kitchen here in Louisville, Kentucky. And my protest sign says everybody needs to look at the hearings that are coming up about the coup of January the 6th.
Prime time hearings. Kimberly is going to be in that number, watching those shows, learning what happened, and who knew what and when they knew it. Hopefully, that previous guy will go down in these. We'll get to the bottom of it. Hopefully, we'll just get to the bottom of it. The 7-hour, gap in the phone records. What was Trump doing for 7 hours while his minions were destroying the Capitol? Maybe we'll get to the bottom of that. All right.
Can I say one other thing,
Of
please?
course.
About Louisville, Kentucky, Jefferson County here, the largest county in Kentucky. We are celebrating Juneteenth coming up. And hey, also Breonna Taylor's birthday came about. No, not her birthday. Or maybe it was her birthday. Her birthday, and there were lots of celebrations around town and all throughout Kentucky. Also, the tracks are open at Churchill Downs, so come on up or come on down. Aaron.
All right. That unsolicited plug for Louisville, Kentucky, brought to you by Kimberly Cecil Jones.
You're just jealous.
Not,
I know. You're
not
jealous.
the Louisville Chamber of Commerce, who we apparently should be hooking up with. Another one of these Chamber of Commerce that we need to be hitting up, because apparently the Chamber of Commerce has a lot of money and spends a lot of it influencing politics. That was a news story I saw today. Maybe we'll get to that in a minute. But we should not leave Doug hanging. So, hey, Doug, who are you? Where are you? What's your sign say?
Yes, I'm Doug Price from Cynthiana, Harrison County. I think Kimberly wanted to promote Louisville, Jefferson County, because she knew that part of my shtick is always talk about Cynthiana or Harrison County. So I want to mention that Cynthiana boasts one of the oldest theaters in the state, Ross Opera House. It's located in the heart of downtown Cynthiana. They're well known for their ghost walks each October. They also have their own escape room experience. That's something new. Quarterly plays, live music, and they show first run movies. Top Gun has been on the last couple of weeks, and we haven't taken the opportunity to go see it yet. My sign says, vote for legislators who support common sense gun control laws. Back to you, Aaron.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that one. Common sense gun control laws. That would be wonderful if we had some folks who would do that. All right. So, folks, if you're watching on the interwebs, we got a few of you watching. Put your comments in the chat. We want to see what your sign says. And Kathy Hobart Spicer, friend of the show, don't look away. Pass gun safety laws now. Wonderful. Text bold to 64433 to contact Mitch and Rand. And that actually was something, yikes. And then Annabelle, our producer, was less than half a mile from the Chattanooga shooting over the weekend. Yikes. We need gun control now. Absolutely. So, any rational actor would look at what we're living through right now and say, time to fix the problem. Unfortunately, we don't have rational actors. We have wholly owned subsidiaries of the NRA holding half the Senate and blocking any action. Although it is interesting, we did see some, I don't know, Mitch plays this game, right? He'll like leak a few or make a few comments that make you think he might be rational. But of course, as we mentioned last week, look at that Washington Post article and you just see he's made an entire career of stopping any rational gun safety measures. But he did mention that he might be open to increasing the age of purchasing an assault weapon from 18, which is literally insane, to 21. I say, why stop at 21? Let's just stop the sale of them completely. But I know that that's one that is, pretty challenging politically right now, or really any time since it's expired in the past. But moving on, I wanted to just talk a little bit about local politics, statewide politics. We have an election in November, and for some reason, a lot of people are paying attention to the election happening next November. So the GOP governor's field is getting crowded, right? So Savannah Maddox last week made it official. She joined that man of the people, Walmart shopper, Harvard grad Ryan Quarles, our ag commissioner, who made a big deal in his recent announcement, talking about he's just a man of the people. Because, people with like 4 degrees, including one from Harvard, they're just common folk. Absolutely. Shopping at Walmart, with their 3 or 4 degrees. Definitely making himself out to be a little more kind of from the fields than I think he is. We also have our, Attorney General, chief liar about Breonna's killer's prosecution, Dan Cameron, also joining Auditor Mike Harmon. So far, there's a lot of folks who we could see in the queue. There's a lot that, this recent announcement definitely makes the field look more interesting, because Savannah Maddox, I think, what we know about her, she's kind of from the Liberty, quote unquote, Liberty wing, self-proclaimed Liberty wing of the GOP. So super far, she made her name, attacking Andy for COVID restrictions. She's actually the initial sponsor of what they call the constitutional carry law, the one which, does away with any rules about concealed carry, no permits, no safety lessons or anything. Just anyone can pack heat without having to have any sort of paperwork attached to it. Savannah Maddox, definitely far, far, far right of the Republican Party. Not necessarily liked or appreciated by the kind of mainstream of the GOP, whereas I think Quarles and Cameron kind of probably go for that lane. I don't know that Mike Harmon has a lane. Auditor, not necessarily a well-known launch pad for the governorship, but man, get the treasurer in there, get the secretary of state, like get all our constitutional officers all running for governor. Maybe, I don't know, but of course, we're backing Andy. Andy Bashir, I think, has done an amazing job. He has got, even though he's very popular right now with 60% approval ratings, it is just going to be hard to win statewide in this very red state. Thankfully, it is not a national election; it's a state level election, so there's not going to be, a fight about the president on the top of the ticket. So that will make things, I think, more likely that Andy could, ride his clear successes for our Commonwealth to another term. But it's going to take a lot of work, that's for sure. And I'm at this point fairly unimpressed with the GOP field. But maybe Savannah Maddox has got the magic that people need. I don't know. Did you guys know she's only 35 years old? Hasn't done a ton in her life, but she's got some kids. She's been in legislature for a while now, and is somebody who I think has carved out a leadership role in that alternative to the mainstream GOP. But it'll be interesting to see how they fight. If they fight dirty, if they tell all the horrible things about one another, I'm sure they'll be able to find, or if they're going to try to keep from muddying up the waters too much and beating up on each other too much. Quarles definitely tried to sound that call for kind of unity from the GOP while he was bashing Andy without any sort of reason or rationale. So clearly they're not gonna play nice against Andy, that's for sure. They'll all probably kind of run against him, but I don't know. What do y'all think about this field?
Well, I think the field will probably get there'll be more. I don't think you mentioned Kelly Craft.
I haven't mentioned her because she has not announced that she's going to run for governor. So
okay, well,
this is the announced field.
Okay, I thought we were also talking about the potential other people that might come in, and along that line, you never know. Former Governor Bevin might jump in. I do want to say this. Initially, I heard that Max was going to announce on June 6th. As she did, but I wonder if she might announce it at 6 p.m. And you can maybe get where I'm going with that.
666. Are you saying that she's the number of the beast?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think she's. I don't know that she's satanic. I think that she's. I don't agree with her brand of politics, but clearly, if you look at that, that Liberty wing, I hate to use their own words. You know what? I love Liberty. I also think that vaccines are smart. I love Liberty. I also think that wearing a mask in public during a pandemic is the least we can do for our fellow man. So the fact that they've claimed the Liberty high ground is a little bit frustrating to me. But the fact that they've got a track record of, actually taking down established politicians, right? So there's 3 committee chairs from Northern Kentucky who lost their primaries because of that Liberty wing. I'm not, I wouldn't look past her as an opponent in that field, especially as it gets more crowded, especially people like Kelly Craft. If she jumps in with a lot of money, not a lot of clear policy stances, very much gunning for that kind of, main stem of the Republican Party, which fighting with Quarles for it, fighting with Cameron for it. It'd be very interesting to see. She could keep a pretty, pretty clear and consistent lane that could leave her, last woman standing. We'll see. Kimberly, anything?
Nah. Savannah Maddox. Okay, so she's 35. I was told she was 34. It doesn't matter if she was 94. What is it? 9 people now running so far.
I haven't seen every single name. I think there's a bunch of people I never heard of, probably because that's with every race. But the main announced candidates, I think, it's like we're at 4.
Well, I know for certain that it was Mitch McConnell's idea from the very, very beginning, as Daniel Cameron became our Attorney General. I'm trying to make sure I don't throw up when I say that, but the goal was always from Mitch McConnell that Daniel would be the next governor. So with all of these other people getting in the races and I mean, like, what is his plan crumbling or whatever? But we also know that Daniel Cameron won't get the low voter, educated voter this time. Those how I used to be long time ago. You know, oh, they look cute. Oh, they're going to give more of this or that. So I just feel like all of us is circus, actually, a circle of a circus, and Savannah Maddox doesn't have a chance between heaven and hell. And I don't know where the 666 came from, but she seems pretty apocalyptic to me.
So I don't know. I had not heard that. I thought Dan Cameron, the kind of story was that he was being kind of seen as the heir to Mitch, right? So that when Mitch leaves, he would come into the Senate and kind of take that seat. And the fact that he is running for governor makes a lot of folks think, oh, I guess that means Mitch is going to run for re-election again. I mean, you know, it's a while from now, and he's not a young man, so hard to say for sure what would happen, or what his opportunities would be.
It could be both. It could be both. Okay, become governor right now, and hey, when that's finished, I'm going to be ready to retire. You're going to step into the senator seat, and whatever. It could be both.
Yeah,
it could definitely be both. But Daniel Cameron cannot count on Black folks voting for him. Like, it was asinine once he won, and I
don't think any Republican counts on Black vote, right? Just because he's Black doesn't mean that there are, you know, folks who are going to vote for him, right? Like, he's a Republican. Not that
Aaron.
Really?
You know, you were over there eating. You didn't hear anything that I said. Okay, you didn't hear anything that I said.
I listened.
Okay.
You think he got a significant amount of the Black vote as the attorney?
He got a significant amount of the Black vote. That's how his butt got in, and I'm going to tell you why. Okay. It's not like these Republicans of today. Let's be all the way. Put it on the table. Okay, let's put it on the table. I know for a fact. I'm talking about a stuff load of Black folks that voted for Daniel Cameron because it was all over social media everywhere. You know, you might not be in the same rooms and, you know, and all that I'm in, Aaron, but I'm here to tell you, okay? Like, you don't doubt me. And then I had to put in comments, you all know that's Mitch McConnell's boy, right? And you, what? Oh my God. So, yeah. We need to look up the stats.
What you're saying is it's your fault he won because you did not tell enough people that he was not to be trusted and was more about Mitch than he was about, you know, the Black experience.
I'm going to be honest. I got to be completely transparent with you.
Please do.
I thought that people would just automatically know some of this, and it taught me a very real lesson. I was so into getting Andy elected and being out in the hot sun, knocking on 200 doors a day. No, I never did that. That was the goal, but it didn't happen. Andy, I'm sorry, but, you know, girl, it was, people saw me, and I mean, even Republicans, Trumpsters was like, well, honey, do you want some of this iced tea? You want a bottled water or something? You know it's bad.
It was hot.
Yeah, it was hot. But we did it, and maybe I didn't think about Daniel Cameron that much because I thought he was like a hinch head. I thought he was like a coon, Uncle Tom. So I thought everybody else knew.
Okay, yeah, I got to jump in here. I have thoughts on a couple of things.
Oh Lord,
you know, it's always possible. Yeah, it's hard to get a word in edgewise sometimes, people. Anyway, Whitney Westerfield announced that he was going to run for Attorney General before Daniel Cameron did. Once Daniel Cameron announced, Whitney Westerfield dropped out. Did Mitch McConnell influence that? I don't know. I think it's possible. And I'm talking about if Cameron were to become governor and Mitch were to leave, yes, the timing doesn't work out because Mitch is on a 6-year term and Cameron would be on a 4-year term. But it's entirely possible that if Mitch were to decide not to run again, then he could retire early enough for Cameron to be nominated to that position and approved by the Republican legislature, and then move into the Senate seat.
Like
So,
leave the governor early, leave the governor's office early. Is that what you're saying?
yes.
Who
Yes.
knows? This is all
Yeah.
wild conjecture. But
Yes.
all right. So it'll be interesting to watch. We obviously have a much, closer election to pay attention to. I just wanted to make known kind of what that crew looks like. We've got a great article that I'm linking to from our friends at My Old Kentucky Podcast. Robert Connie did some great kind of research and found some interesting information about the backstories for these main announced candidates. So let's go ahead and move to, I think, news under 5. Kimberly's got a raft of stories to cover, and I'm sure Doug Price has his stopwatch.
Oh my goodness. Yes. Well, let me start off like this. I was looking at something on my computer. But first of all, let's just talk about, Kentucky is going to face a very big food shortage here. That's a terrible thing for some, maybe good for me. Maybe I'll lose some weight. But what it is that 1 in 7 Kentuckians are facing immediate hunger or food insecurity. And the difference between the two is food insecurity is like there's not enough grocery stores with fresh fruits and things like that your body needs versus that you don't have access to food. So food insecurity makes up 14% of Kentuckians that live off of food stamps, otherwise known as SNAP. And then also, food has gone up, according to ABC, 9.2%. When I received a phone call that bacon was $8, I was like, well, I'm glad I don't eat that swine, but hey, it's bad out here for a moment. So also, abortion will become immediate law into Kentucky if Roe versus Wade is overturned. And that Kentucky is one of 13 states that have a trigger law, meaning like in 2019, they made a law that it would be a Class D felony and up to 5 years in prison. So if a young lady felt that she needed that, no matter if she was raped or incest or something of that nature, she could be facing up to 5 years in prison, and it would be a felony on her permanent record. Moving right along, moving into the driver's license, okay? Right now, everybody can be happy about this, that Secretary Gray and all of the circuit clerks all around Kentucky, the move is just about complete where you can get your driver's license, and it's now underneath Kentucky state rule with the Secretary of Transportation, and that would be Secretary Gray. Also, let's talk about Charles Booker for a moment. He made a very profound statement in an ad that he did where he had a noose around his neck. And it was to get the attention, which it did. He's been on all kinds of national and international platforms actually talking about why he did that. And you would say, well, this is one way that the Republicans could say we need to immediately pass the lynching law. And this is what all of this was about. But there are some that are not liking that Charles Booker did that. Charles Booker is the Democratic candidate to go against Rand Paul. So some people are saying, like, hey, if this happened in the 60s, it would have impact. Why are we doing this? Just like they told Matthew McConaughey in his great speech in the White House. They're asking Charles, is he grandstanding? And it's to each his own, but it is garnering some spectators, I would guess you say, as far as knowing that the lynching law has not passed. Now, my last thing is Juneteenth. And a lot of people are now seeing where you could go to Walmart and get T-shirts and decorations, and they're having all kinds of things happening, probably in your city as well. Our state legislators passed laws that Andy Beshear, our governor, signed that Juneteenth would be a state holiday, and also many other cities made it a local holiday as well. Juneteenth is now, and I know you all heard about the ice cream debacle that happened with Walmart. They felt like Walmart was trying to capitalize off of the holiday, making a Juneteenth ice cream selection, which was red velvet cake and vanilla ice cream, which I would have bought most definitely. It sounded delicious to me. But Juneteenth, ladies and gentlemen, is about this. For most ADOSs in this country, and ADOS may be an acronym you've never heard, but it means African descendants of slaves, which I am. And Juneteenth is because when most slaves in this country were freed with the proclamation, there was a state that, consistently kept Black people as slaves, as cattle, as indentured servants for like life. So 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation, Texas finally, I guess all the slaves were like, hey, we're free now. So it was 2 more years for the state of Texas. And this is a date for the nation and our state of June the 19th to celebrate. So a lot of ADOSs all around this country truly feel like this is our particular Independence Day. So that's what Juneteenth is about. And I know a lot of people were like, what is that about? So now you know. I'm done. I know it's over the 5 minutes, but I had good stories today. So, Aaron.
Thank you. What's the what was the time there, Doug? What do we got? What do we come in with?
It was news under 6 minutes and 1 second.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Gotcha. Well, yeah, good stories. Good stories. Thank you for sharing them. Thanks for bringing them to us, Kimberly. Yeah, I think I think the Booker ad, because again, we're a politically minded show. Let's talk about some of the politics here. The Booker ad was a bit over the top. I think it was also a little unfair because Rand Paul had voted against the Lynching Act previously, but when it passed, he actually did vote for it, right? So, yeah, it's bad that he voted against it ever. But I don't know. Also, it's very attention grabbing, and let's be honest, Charles Booker needs to grab some attention. He needs to tap into that kind of national grassroots donor network, that kind of the Act Blue folks who did such Amy McGrath tapped into them very well, like both of her runs. I think Booker did a good job with his Senate race, like the first time. It got a lot more grassroots support, and now I think he's suffering from the fact that no one's considering this a competitive race, right? If you listen to the states that people are talking about competitive races for the Senate, Kentucky does not enter into the conversation. People are kind of writing off his campaign. So I think that's because we are such a red state, not because there's anything wrong with Charles Booker as a candidate, but if he's not being considered as having a chance, then he's not going to get the pissed off progressives from North Carolina or California putting money into his campaign, and it's gonna be tough for him to run against Rand Paul, because Rand Paul, as much as he's a clown, he does have a national network because he's run so phenomenally unsuccessfully for president a number of times. He's got his dad's coattails and the kind of crazy left-hand side of so far right it's almost left side, that kind of I think what Robert Kanye called the horseshoe, perhaps. So he's got a crew that he can tap into, and Charles Booker's going to need to get that grassroots funding. Of course, Rand Paul's also tapped into the typical Republican funding streams, which is just corporate donors and big money folks, whereas Democrats don't really have that. They need that grassroots Act Blue support to get the resources they need to run a competitive race, even in a state that's relatively cheap to run in. Don't have super expensive media markets, but he's going to need some support, and I think this ad gets people's attention and puts it out very starkly. Clearly, it wasn't for everybody, and I can understand why you would be turned off by it, but got some attention, and that's what he needs. So, I don't know. Other thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. It was an attention-getting ad, and there have been campaigns in the past. I'm thinking about Mitch McConnell, and didn't he have some sort of an ad that he had a dog involved, and it was something that put him in the forefront? Just that one ad. So attention, good attention, bad attention. Different strokes for different folks.
Well, yeah, and Annabelle made a really, I think, important comment about just the impact of seeing that. And yeah, I mean, suicide's a real deal, and it's a real problem. And social media does not make it easier for kids currently who are dealing with mental health challenges and online bullying. And so the idea that you could see something like that's so evocative and so powerful without any warning, I think that was definitely a lot for some folks to handle, for sure. So all right, I think we should probably move on to our very exciting back after a little bit of a hiatus, not too long, but one of our favorite segments because it has its own theme song and its own graphic, really. So we're going to move into Doug Price is Right.
Yes, my own theme song. I guess that must make me really important, huh? Welcome to another DPIR, Doug Price is Right, factual and to the point. Tonight, I'm going to take a critical look at the Morgan County Fiscal Court decision to provide armed guards, school resource officers at all Morgan County schools. The court approved giving $480,000 to the school district. The district did not request the funds and seem to be placed in a situation where they may have to either decline the funds or propose utilizing the funds to do other security measures as opposed to hiring school resource officers. School resource officers equals gun packing person. The proposal would fund 10 officers at a projected cost of $48,000 each. From a Lexington Herald Leader article, fiscal courts don't normally fund school security. Judge Executive John Will Stacy told the paper, the funding isn't the only answer to stop school violence, but it's something. He told the newspaper the county couldn't sit back and expect Washington to come and protect the county's children. He added there is nothing more important than keeping children safe, and the county is reallocating its resources to protect the county's number one priority. Democrat John Will Stacy became the judge exec in 2019, replacing Stanley Franklin. It does not appear that he ran for re-election. The primary was held on May 17th, and the decision to provide funding was done on May 31st. I mentioned that because I thought it was interesting, as a decision prior to the election might have been important to many voters. There does not appear to be a newspaper in Morgan County, nor could I find any public record of a vote on the matter other than the newspaper article I cited. As noted in the article, this is a one-time allocation and is a direct result of the county receiving ARP funds, American Recovery Act, funds totaling over $2.5 million. I found nothing online indicating how the county used the other funds. A review of the Morgan County Fiscal Court 2019 financial statements reveals that the county had receipts of $7.05 million and disbursements of $6.32 million, leaving approximately $720,000 in encumbered funds, plus a debt of over $8 million. I point all of that out to say, yes, it's a one-time allocation. They may be able to do it 1 year, but after that, what happens? What would the cost be to provide SROs at all Kentucky public schools? At an average cost of $48,000 per armed guard, trying to cover 171 school districts, including a total of 1,477 public schools. Just doing the math, that would cost at least $141 million per year. That doesn't include any consideration of the number of doors, size of the school. That's just basically providing 2 SROs at every school, all the 1,477 schools. So I believe the cost could be more in the range of $250 million a year. And that assumes you can find people willing to be paid $48,000 a year, probably without any benefits. So is this a solution to the problem? Throwing money at it while the NRA throws money at politicians and supports the gun industry? Who is going to win that battle? Gun rights activists would say that guns are not the problem. Prior to ending the ban on assault-style weapons in the U.S., there were over 400,000 of those type of guns in the general population, and now there are over 20 million. Why do we need 20 million assault weapons? Why can an 18-year-old buy an assault-style rifle? In the U.S., there are over 393 million weapons owned by civilians. The U.S. has less than 5% of the world's population and owns over 40% of the world's civilian-owned guns. 40%. According to a CBS article, Kentucky ranks 16th in the U.S. with a total of 13.5 guns for every 1,000 residents. In the overall scheme of things, that's only about 60,000 registered firearms among 4.4 million people. So we don't really have that many guns, but we certainly have a gun culture. Lastly, a word from one of our K partners who provided information from news articles. After legislators responded to the 2018 Parkland school shooting by hiring police officers in every public school in Florida, there are more police officers than school nurses. The number of police officers is more than double the number of school social workers, and more than double than the number of school psychologists. After Columbine, over 10,000 police were hired just in case a school shooting happened. Over 1 million kids, since Columbine, the police were put in after Columbine, over 1 million kids have been arrested, mostly students of color, for routine behavior violations. We need gun control measures as opposed to trying to make our schools fortresses. We need better mental health measures. Congress will be considering new gun regulations. We must hold their feet to the fire. We must demand change, and American voters must work together to ensure that common sense gun control laws are passed. And that is my DPIR for tonight.
All right. Thank you so much, Doug Price. I believe you are, in fact, correct. It is quite outrageous, the amount of money we're willing to throw at that problem when we ignore just the very clear correlation between massive amounts of guns and massive amounts of shootings. You know, obviously, school shootings remain a relatively rare occurrence. Most gun deaths are because of suicides, and most mass shootings don't occur in schools. But the money that has been spent on school resource officers, again, like, why are we using their language? Cops in schools, putting police officers in schools, has not brought down the rate of school shootings. And so you want to spend that money on things that could help, social workers, school counselors, therapists, helping with the mental health concerns that are rampant, and then of course making it a lot harder for people to get access to guns. So anyway, really is just continues to be just a soul searching exercise, and I'm just so depressed that we are where we are. You guys have seen this kind of most recent story where there was somebody armed, looking to I think go after Brett Kavanaugh, Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh, and so Mitch McConnell immediately demanded legislation to ensure that Supreme Court justices were needed a new law to protect Supreme Court justices. Right? It's like, well, how many school shootings have happened on his watch, and he has not demanded anything? So I guess it gets close to home when it's some guy that's part of your social set. Mitch is probably a little jumpy because I think his name was on a list, a hit list of some character in was it Iowa, who killed a judge, and had a list of other a very, very random list. Right? The governor of Michigan was on it, Democrat, and Mitch McConnell, and a bunch. Clearly this guy was didn't have necessarily, he was a clear political dogma that he was associated with, but that would make me jumpy if I was on a hit list where the guy actually did kill the number one target. But we got a nation that's prone to violence, and I think humanity is prone to violence quite frequently. We have one side that is stoking the outrage, that sense of otherness, looking to encourage, listening to some of these guys talk on the right, it feels like it's a call to arms where they're at, oh my God, the liberals are trying to take your guns. You better make sure you've got them, make sure you fight for them. Right. And it's not too much of a departure to, mentally get to actually, oh yeah, I guess it's time to actually shoot people. You got that happening. And so many guns, so much access, so much easy access. I don't know. It's like, of course, people shouldn't have assault weapons. Why is that? Why do we have to have a conversation about that? Every other nation that had assault weapons and then had massive shootings took away the assault weapons, like pretty much immediately. Whereas we're just, no, because we got that Second Amendment, and it's really important that we are able to revolt against our government. People seem to think that's actually a right. Is you need the arms to revolt against the government. I guess you better get pocket nukes or something, because I don't think your AR is going to be up to the task of taking on the federal government. Ruby Ridge showed pretty clearly they just don't have the resources. They're going to win. So either we need to make it mandatory that every loosely organized militia has access to nuclear weapons, or maybe we should just give up that idea that that's inherent in our nation's rights, is the ability to have an armed revolt against your government. It's just insane. But as liberals, we probably shouldn't give up that idea, because it looks like, in terms of fighting for our democracy, we've got one side who doesn't actually think that democracy is a non-negotiable. They're willing to give up democracy if they can win elections or steal elections. And we're excited to hear, tomorrow night, I think, as they start the conversation, start releasing what that January 6th commission has found. But it's very clear that there's a whole set of folks on the Republican side who don't really care about democracy. They just care about power and winning. So maybe we as liberals might need to think about how that affects us ultimately if they get what they want. Anyway, So what do you guys think? Where are we at with this conversation? Are we getting just crazier and crazier, or is there a chance we'll actually get some sanity and rational gun control?
I just got a breaking news. The House just voted to make the minimum age to own or buy an assault rifle to the age of 21. So it did pass the House. So now we just have to wait. What is Mitch McConnell going to do? What is, like Cinema and like they need to just go head on and become Republicans. Honestly, they don't have to be Trumpsters, but they could just be Republicans because they're messing up everything.
The second they become Republicans, Mitch McConnell is the actual majority leader of the Senate. So that's why.
True, but I'm just saying next time they have to run, let a Democrat get up there that's going to actually do what they're supposed to do as a Democrat. So that's all I'm saying.
Okay.
Bernie Sanders and all of them, they do it all the time. So, switching back and forth from their parties. But I'm just, how do you completely liberate this problem? How do you completely just demolish this extreme challenge in our country? We know what other countries have done. They're not going to ever do that. But what can we do to keep our children safe, to keep our parents, our grandparents, our teachers, and I could go on and on and on. And, more than even that, like, how do I keep myself straight? How do you keep yourself safe? It's just everywhere. And it's like people don't want to talk anymore. They just want to pull out a gun. And, it was a long time ago when I was in school, probably longer than you, Aaron, I'm sure. But I can tell you this. We sure weren't packing guns to school and stuff like that. The most you heard of was in Chicago that people were wearing like Air Jordans when they first came out, and people were being held at gunpoint and they had to take off their tennis shoes or they would get killed because that person would be like, "You're not taking my tennis shoes." So this is really strange to me. It's really strange to me. And it's even more strange that we even have to have debates about this. Like, they don't care. Those Republicans in Washington, they don't care. They don't care in Frankfurt. Like, they don't care. They do not care about your kids. They don't care about your grandkids, Doug Price. They don't care about your daughters, Aaron Biles. They don't care about my children. They don't care. Because what was it? A congressman, I was looking at something just very briefly, and he was like, he needs his AR because he shoots varmint. What do you call them? Varmints or?
Yeah, varmints.
Okay, what is
kill the varmints?
What is a varmint?
It's a rabbit. It's a possum. It's a raccoon would be a varmint. I think a squirrel very much fits in varmint. There was a Louisiana lawmaker who said, no, we need to have the AR, because they need to shoot the wild hogs, like wild hogs. Really important to be able to shoot the wild hogs. It's like, what is wrong with people? But no, now, see this poll recently came out. Nearly half Republicans think the U.S. just has to live with mass shootings because guns are more important than doing something about mass shootings. And nearly half of those Republicans, smart enough to get, I guess we can't really do anything unless we get rid of the gun. So, that's the price of liberty, is more kids being shot.
KET covered the issue of action on gun control laws Monday, and I watched that yesterday. I have some thoughts from that. Kimberly will remember this woman from Louisville. She was she was on the show, and she is an advocate for laws pertaining to gun control. Her name was Whitney Austin. She worked at Fifth Third Bank, and she was going into work, and somebody had a gun in there and she got shot 12 or 13 times and actually lived. So she was on the show talking about, some laws that will be helpful as opposed to the standard Republican response of thoughts and prayers. Had a guy on there from the League of Kentucky Sportsmen, and he seemed to be kind of he wants to keep his guns, but he was, I think, willing to listen. And then he started talking about when he was a kid and he got in trouble and he was over at his friend's house. It was okay with his dad for the friend's dad to whoop him if he had to, and or vice versa. And he said, that's the kind of thing we need back in schools. So he was saying it's okay to beat kids. So I kind of discounted that guy. And then they had a recorded conversation from Congressman Yarmouth. And several things he mentioned, talking about trying to expand background checks, institute red flag laws, ban assault weapons, which Kimberly has said, or at least the other thing, raising the age from 18 to 21, and talking about the mag capacity. And, he knows, and I think we all know, that you can pass things in the House, but in the Senate, it takes 60 votes. But one thing that really stuck with me, and this wasn't an original quote from him, he named the politician, but he said, "Don't let perfect get in the way of the good." So I don't want to have to settle for just the good, but there has to be changes. So hopefully this newest mass murder of innocent children who were left in there to die by regular police for over an hour, what are school resource officers going to be able to do? Are they going to be able to handle the situation? So that's my thoughts.
Yeah, no, we can just arm the teachers. The teachers, we didn't trust them 10 minutes ago to teach history, or to, use pronouns correctly, or, like so many things that the right is like wants to get in the way of teachers actually being able to teach and provide safe spaces for kids. But we're willing to give them guns to be out there to stop, the ne'er-do-wells. It's ridiculous. It's outrageous. The problem is there's too many guns. We're not going to take them all away, but we need to make it a lot harder for folks to get them. There needs to be, more rules. There needs to be red flag laws for sure. There needs to absolutely, it's highly irrational that an 18-year-old can buy an assault weapon, but can't buy a beer. And they can't rent a car. Car rental agencies, they know what's up with liability and with damage and who they should trust with their very expensive things. And, who should we trust with lives? Probably kids under 25 shouldn't have, an assault weapon. But at any rate, so
I think it's like at least the dial has moved ever so slightly.
I just feel like we're in this crazy cycle where it just keeps happening, and we expect, we march, we show up, we bring signs, and everyone should march, and we'll get to that in the action events calendar. But it's like, why is there no progress? And I don't expect, one law to save us all, but there are incremental steps that could be taken, and we can't even close the loopholes in background checks, and that was, I think that they came very close. I think after Parkland, right? Or Sandy Hook. And, come on, get it right, people. Mitch McConnell, stop being the problem here. And let's do some incremental work to make things better. All right. I think we're gonna close out the show. We're gonna move on to the action events calendar, and I think Kimberly, you can do the honors.
Okay. I just love you guys. I love all of our Kernels of Truth listeners and viewers. Thank you so much for tuning in every week. But on the progress calendar, we have right here that we want you to take our poll. We're at 190 responses and we'd like to hit 500. And can you just take 5 minutes out right now of your time to help us pick out the worst actions of this terrible, horrible, no good, very bad legislator? Once we hit 500 responses, we'll share with the media. Yes, we will. We'll share with them. We'll share with the media what the report comes up with, okay? But we need your support to make this plan really, really, really work. So if you could help us with that and remind voters what the GOP supermajority is doing to our Commonwealth, it is so incredibly important. And we're not messing around about it. We're going to make our state more politically engaged and win more progressive representation. And we got a plan to do it, but we need you. So the link will go up on the screen and also it'll be in the comment section below. And we're looking for people to come aboard with us. This is an important year. This year and next year are like majorly important as we move into 2024. And we need some people to help out with the newsletter, some social media managers, folks who can phone bank, and members and potential voters to engage in the fight for a more progressive Commonwealth. So join us if you would. And we will be back next week at the same time. And we hope that you'll log on to get a taste of what's going on in Kentucky with the politics. Yes. And I need to say this to you, that Progress Kentucky is a nonprofit organization registered with the Kentucky Secretary of State, organized as a 501c4, and is affiliated with the Indivisible Project, otherwise, and Commonwealth Alliance Voters Engagement. I know you all probably here in Kentucky hear about CAVE a lot. That's actually what it stands for. So Progress Kentucky's goal is to educate, organize, increase voter turnout, and advance a progressive agenda through civic engagement. Production this evening was by our very, very own Annabelle, and we are so, so very proud of her, Annabelle Nigel, and we just thank her so much for her diligence. She's a young girl, but she's got it going on. I'm so very, very proud of her. And we have to always thank Nate, because that fly, I got that word from like my son or something. Well, maybe he told me it was out of date. I don't know. But anyway, that song that you hear, that comes from Nate Orshan, one of our Kernels of Truth folks. And you can hear more of his music right there on natosongs.com. And if you miss our weekly live stream on Wednesday night, do not fret, my pet. You can always go on our Facebook page, Progress Kentucky, and get caught up. And if you are in that mode where you can't really look at us, but you want to hear us, of course, we're on like majorly all of your platforms for your podcasting. So logo and some graphic content was done by Couchfire Media. You can really get more into them. Take a look at them at couchfiremedia.com and do something nice for somebody this week. It doesn't cost any money. Like sign up to help with Progress Kentucky. You know, the more people we get, the more we can get our people into offices. So we need you, okay? And we'll see you next week, same time, set, back channel. Have a good rest of the week.